Ladies and gentlemen, let's game into the video. Let us further discuss the PlayStation 4's innards, but from a slightly different angle. We're actually going to be talking about a recent price breakdown analysis that a company, we'll go into that in just a moment, have been focused on and have actually priced what the various internals on the system have actually cost, and this primarily include the APU and the memory. Now, believe it or not, the PlayStation 4's APU, which of course contain the CPU, the GPU and everything else, costs about $100 US. Meanwhile, the GDDR5 memory will cost another $88 US. In addition to that, the chip itself is so large, 350 square millimeters, that it's about 3 times larger than any other chip that this company have actually analyzed that's of the similar type. In other words, using the equivalent process technology, and has actually been examined by this team. Now, the team are known as IHS, and as I mentioned, they specialize in basically analyzing the costs and the performance and so on of various components. They also pointed out that the GDDR5 memory, and this is an exact quote, has much higher bandwidth than DDR3 in the Xbox One, and also works better in parallel computing, is designed specifically to, and I quote, enhance graphics performance. Because of its cutting-edge status, the GDDR5 memory is much more expensive than DDR3, which is used in high volume in products including PCs and older games consoles. And that's pretty much all she wrote. So yeah, pretty short, but for what I'd throw it out to you guys today, I don't really think it's anything particularly new in terms of news. We knew that the memory was going to be pretty damn expensive. Obviously, his brief comments don't exactly tell all of the story. For example, what they don't go into is the fact that the Xbox One, of course, has ESRAM to try and help to make up the gulf. And also, of course, he doesn't mention that GDDR5 memory is indeed found in PCs. It's found on the GPUs, which are the only things right now on PCs that actually require that amount of memory bandwidth. DDR3 is actually more than sufficient to pretty much run the high-end, even the high-end Intel processors right now. There was actually tests done in terms of memory bandwidth, and they actually found that there wasn't a huge difference unless the system was actually using the integrated graphics processor. But that's a slight aside. Regardless, what is quite important is just how he believes that it's going to be helping parallel computing. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, this is one of the primary responsibilities and the reasons to go with an APU. It's pretty much the purpose of getting not only the CPU but also the GPU involved in computations. So for example, if you have a little bit of data, that bit of data is in the memory, and then you will simply, the CPU will simply say, hey buddy, I need your help to process this please, and the GPU will just simply process that same little bit of data. Now, the brilliant thing is, because the PS4 is HUMA, heterogeneous unified memory architecture, it doesn't need to copy that little bit of data from one memory location to another, and that's really important because in even typical unified memory access, it actually needs to do that. So in short, let's assume that you have bit of data in location, let's just call it 53. So let's assume that you have 100 blocks of memory. You have far more than that, of course, but let's just make it easy for ourselves and assume that we have the letter A in location 53. Okay, so the CPU has read letter A and it says, okay, I understand what letter A is. And it says, okay, but GPU, I need your help to turn that letter A into a B. Well, what would happen if it was a traditional memory architecture is it would have to take that letter A from location 53 and it might have to put it into location 76, which is allocated towards graphics memory. In this, it doesn't have to do that. It just literally tells the GPU, letter A is in location 53, do your thing. And it does it, and it doesn't need to copy the data backwards and forwards. And you know what? completely off topic. I think that's about the best explanation I've ever come up with when I'm trying to explain exactly how humour works, and it was in completely and utterly an unrelated video, and that is how my brain works, ladies and gentlemen. It is without rhyme and without reason for most of the time. Regardless, that is pretty... it's not exactly accurate, of course. It has a few technical extras in there, but that's pretty much how it works in terms of humour copying data, or rather not needing to copy data. So it's pretty awesome, and that's basically the purpose of compute and the ability to parallel compute. So in other words, it's just to get the CPU and the GPU involved. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the relatively brief video. I'm going to get going. As some of you may be aware from my recent raging on Facebook, I'm having a few issues with my hosts right now, web hosts. Turns out when a company decides to rebrand themselves, sometimes it's not good for the consumer, and in this case, I am the consumer, and so I'm writing very indignant emails, let's say that. So I'm going to have a fun couple of next days. So if anyone wishes to wish me luck, I would suggest you do so. On a very serious note, if you have any comments or questions, you're best, rather than asking them on YouTube, to do so on Facebook. So you can just go to facebook.com/FredGamingTech and I shall be there. Regardless, I'll see you soon. Take care.